Hi, I'm Big Chocolate, also known as Cameron, also known as Cameron Argon, and today we're going to talk about how to DJ, the things you're going to need, how to get prepared, the whole picture. A lot of people ask me how to get started, tips, various things. Now what I would recommend first of all is inspiration. If you're watching this video, you might just be curious, or you might have that inspiration that you need. I think everyone needs an initial kick of inspiration or a knack or feeling for those things in order to pursue those things, which is DJing. And what is DJing? I think DJing could be anything from working on turntables and playing at a club or to a crowd, or even in a small environment such as a party or a room full of a few friends or a gathering. I think playing music on Spotify in a correct order in cadence qualifies as DJing. I call it room DJing. And I wouldn't necessarily say you need to be inspired for that, but you do need to have a knack for it. And I think the two kind of go hand in hand in a lot of ways, depending on what kind of DJ you are and where you're going with things. But I think the most important thing is to have inspiration first. I think all types of outlets and performance take inspiration to get that fire going first of all. Now, what I would recommend to get started is to establish what kind of music you want to play and how you're going to obtain the music. Because I think that one of the most important things about DJing is not so much the equipment or how you're going to play it or what have you, but the music you're going to play and the quality of the music and your track listing and your order and all these things. And I'll get into track listing and order in a little bit, but first I want to talk about the music itself. And I think the most important thing in DJing, from my perspective, both as someone getting into it and as a professional, is music quality. And I think if you're going to be playing music at a large establishment with a large amplification, like a sound system or something, you're going to need to have lossless quality music files. Now if you're thinking of the latter and you're playing to a small group or something, this lossless music might not make a big difference, but I definitely think it makes a difference. To me, it's more of a subconscious difference when I go in there as a DJ to a club, for instance, and all my music is in lossless. I know I have an edge because I know my music is going to transcend its vibrations perfectly versus having any reduction of data. Now, when you play an MP3, it's a compressed file, so you're literally missing parts of the frequency range. And that stuff makes a big difference when you're playing, clubs with great sound system. And it makes an even bigger difference based off what kind of music you're playing. So I think the most important thing is having lossless music. It will definitely give you an edge, and it will definitely help the music you're intending to play to reach its full potential in the club. Now, if you're just getting started into music, or DJing, I should say, and you're curious to what to get started, I know there's a million options out there, but I would say after all of my experimenting in various ways of playing music in a DJ format, I've used computers, I've used controllers, which is a computer, I've used CDs, I've used CDJs, and I would say that the CDJ is the ultimate way to play this stuff. The preparation involved with CDJs is why I would also recommend it to beginners, because there's a program that all the CDJs universally use to organize the music called Rekordbox. And there's many controllers that use Rekordbox as a foundation for how to organize and play the music. You organize your music in there, and you could see the music visually, which you can get on the CDJs, and you could set all your cue points and set tempos and whatnot, which is really important if you're a club DJ. If you're just, mashing tracks, it doesn't really matter, I think. But if you're a kind of a more surgical club DJ, your cue points and your grids are going to be really important. And when you plug in a controller to this program, you could operate it there's a DJ controller mode. I've never really messed around with it much, maybe once or twice. But you can also export your libraries and playlists to a USB drive, and that's what you can take to the clubs that have the CDJs already there, and you can plug in and play. Now, I think practice is important, especially when you're starting out, and that's mainly just to really get the fundamentals down, so you're not super guessing about the technology you're using. But I think over practicing could be a bad thing as well. And what I mean by that is you're not used to playing in front of a live crowd, and when you play in front of a live crowd, it's a much different experience than playing in your room by yourself, what have you. So if you're playing by yourself an awful lot, and then you get into a room full of people and you try and replicate what goes down in your room, it usually doesn't translate as well. So I really think how to prepare for this stuff when you perform is you just gotta be in your most kind of, you're gonna have jitters and stuff, but that's good. But you just wanna be comfortable and confident in who you are and what you're gonna bring to the room. And that's kind of what DJing is. You're kind of the controller of the vibrations of the room. You are literally in control of the pace and the vibe of the room. Vibe's a good word because it kind of, insinuates other things, but you're really controlling the vibrations literally of the room, and it dictates so much of everyone's experience in the room, no matter what they're there for what experience. Some people are at clubs just to listen to music, some people are there to dance, some people are there to check out the vibe. All those things are tuned into the music and the music's pace. So you're literally in control of that for however long you're playing. So it's important to acknowledge that, but also to embrace rock and roll within that, and to let things flow and go and kind of come naturally. And that's why I think over practicing can really hurt your live ambitions for rock and roll. If you are a more technical DJ and you're trying to pull off specific things, you might need to practice those things. But as far as performing a whole mix, I don't think practicing at home is necessarily the best answer. I think maybe some decent visualizations, but you should definitely leave plenty room for improvisation, because that's where you're going to connect with the crowd the most. You can be overly engulfed in your technical ability, but then you're not going to be engaging with the crowd, and that whole connection of the DJ and the crowd is really what makes the experience grand. You can have a really technical, excellent DJ who's up there performing one of the best sets, but unless the crowd is really cued into that, they might not feel as connected as someone who's really looking up and vibing with the crowd and picking up the crowd's reception to them, and vice versa. There's so many combinations of what makes a great DJ great, but again, I really think your song choice and the choice of your audio format really goes the longest way. I think if you're struggling as a DJ technically, but you're picking great songs and they're kind of going in a good order, I think most people will probably let that slide. You might have a little bit of disruption on the dance floor because of your transitions, which is crucial for a perfect DJ set. But if you're just playing excellent tracks, you really know where to find great tracks, and you know what the room wants to hear, and you're kind of barely making it through on the technical side of things, I still think you're you're on the right track, because that's necessary. That's pretty much what DJing is picking songs in a specific order and learning how to react and vibe with the crowd in that special way where everyone's kind of capturing that moment. Another thing I would like to add is I really think anyone could be a DJ. I think it's one of the most accessible ways to interact with a group of people. I think music's very primal and goes very, very far back, and everyone kind of has a sense of a beat, and everyone loves music. And I think if your love for music kicks off some kind of flame where you want to share that love with other people, I think that's kind of where anyone could be a DJ. Whether or not you want to take it all the way to a club is one thing, but I think just getting into it and getting excited about maybe a party you're hosting and taking a little bit of extra time and making sure you get the right Spotify playlist, so to say, in order, or something like that. I think that's all carries strong essences of DJing, and I think those things should be, I respect those things, and I think that level of DJing should be considered in this talk. Before I wrap this up, I just want to say, for people who are not familiar with me, a little bit of my experience DJing. I've been DJing for about 10 years now. Started off with CDJs playing at parties and whatnot, mainly into hardcore techno, but would play random mix CDs people would give me at parties, and eventually working my way to playing raves and more rock and roll events like the Vans Warped Tour, which I've played twice. Now I've played globally and internationally a few times, and globally scattered about. I've played Australia, Canada, Mexico, and Japan as a DJ. Some of the music festivals I've played have been Ultra Music Festival, Movement Music Festival in Detroit, and Snow Globe, which is here in South Lake Tahoe. I'm also a producer as well, so I've kind of stretched the DJing to include more performance means of playing my own music, which is originally how I got into DJing as well. I got into DJing to perform original productions I was working on back in the day, and it's been a wild journey ever since. And a lot of it I've thought about, and a lot of it I have just dove in for the sake of inspiration, love, and rock and roll. Thanks for watching. I hope this video has helped someone. I hope it's been interesting. Have a good day. Thanks.